Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Rachel. I use she, her pronouns, and I am on HAT Education Working Group. And today we're bringing you the second episode of our Know Your Rights series. The series, we've had one episode already that aired a couple of weeks ago with the Dauphin County Bail Fund. Today we're here with the National Lawyers Guild and Becca Smith, who's going to tell us about the important work that they do and what folks should be aware of about the National Lawyers Guild, but also about attending protests and their rights in those situations. So Becca, take it away.
Great, thanks so much, Rachel. So my name is Becca, I use they, them pronouns, and I am the sitting treasurer of the Central PA National Lawyers Guild chapter. So just some background, a lot of people don't know what the National Lawyers Guild is. So I put the national mission up. I know it's a lot of words. If you'd like to read it, please feel free to. But I just wanted to highlight some priority areas. So the National Lawyers Guild, the NLG, functions as an effective force in the service of people by valuing human rights and the rights of ecosystems over property interests. So the most fundamental kind of priority is that people are valued over property. And so we also focus a lot on intersectional issues and focus on the importance of safeguarding and extending the rights of workers, women, LGBTQ plus people, farmers, people with disabilities, people of color. The list goes on and on. And so we really look at the law as an instrument in the protection of people rather than an instrument of repression as it is often practiced. Also good to note, the NLG has from the beginning been an abolitionist-based organization. And so these are the issues that HAT are working with are issues that are very central to the NLG's mission. So one of the main programs that the NLG has is that of legal observers. If you've been at a protest, really anywhere in the nation, chances are you've seen them. They're often wearing these little bright green National Lawyers Guild legal observer hats, standing on the outskirts. And so even if you've seen legal observers, a lot of people don't really know what they do or who they are. So the main focus of a legal observer is to monitor and document law enforcement. If I'm a legal observer at a protest, the actions of the participants or random people on the streets that are not really something that I'm paying attention to. I am strictly watching law enforcement. I am recording on paper, pen and paper, what I am seeing law enforcement do, how I'm seeing them interact, so that if there is any concern afterwards of misconduct, I could potentially act as a witness in court. So also, law enforcement knows who we are, and if they see us, that often acts as a visible deterrent so that law enforcement are less likely to act in problematic ways. And going along with that, there are a lot of things that we don't do, especially things that people assume we do. So we do not give any legal, tactical, political advice to demonstrators. We also are not participants. So if I choose to be a legal observer that day, that is all I am doing. I will not say chance. I am just watching and observing. And we, as I said, our focus, since it's on law enforcement, we do not document any demonstrator misconduct or action. We also don't act as a liaison between demonstrators and law enforcement. There are often other people with the organizers who do that. And if there is an arrest, a detention, some sort of misconduct that we see that the law enforcement is committing, we do not interact. We strictly observe, we write down what we see, again, so that we have those memories so that we would be able to act as a witness. And Also, if you see us, chances are as a protester, you won't really have many interactions with us. We're often on the outskirts. We're often facing out, as this friend here on the PowerPoint is, clearly not a part of the protest, and is observing outwards of watching where the law enforcement is or where they may potentially enter at. So you are, if you're observing or if you're at a protest and you see something happen and you're not a legal observer, but you see maybe a cop car pull up and you want to make sure that we're aware, definitely feel free to bring it to our attention. But that's probably the extent of interaction that we will have with protesters. Okay, so if you are protesting, I just wanted to discuss some of the things that you should be aware of and some of the best practices, just to make sure that you're as safe as you can be. Of course, there is always an inherent risk, but we want people to be aware of ways to protect themselves and the people around them. So a lot of this is observational stuff that we teach legal observers as they're being trained. So one thing that's really important to be aware of is who all is at the protest. Who are the organizers? Are there any medics? Typically people with like a red cross on a bag or on a hat, on clothing, prepared to provide medical care if necessary. Are there any peacekeepers or de-escalators, often wearing vests or maybe t-shirts for the event? Who all is there? And if something happens and you need assistance, who can you go to, who can you ask, and who's potentially ready to assist in specific situations? Also, of course, what are some things that you should be aware of in relation to law enforcement? So what are they doing? Really, where are they? Are they moving? Are they staying still? Are they creating a line? Are they creating a potential barrier? Are they encircling a crowd? Who is present? So what departments? Often in Harrisburg, if we're on the Capitol steps, which is often where we're at, you'll see Capitol Police, Harrisburg Police. You may see state police, or occasionally there are federal vehicles in the area. Are they on bikes, on foot? Do they have their canine vehicles or vans, cars, or even helicopters? What all is present? Where are they moving? How many? And just kind of be aware so that you know what potentially may be happening. What are they wearing? Is it the middle of the summer? Are they just wearing like short sleeve, like typical uniforms? Are they wearing riot gear? Are they holding any weapons? If they are holding something, do you even know what it is? A lot of the times, our departments are getting more and more equipment that the average person probably will not recognize. And another thing to keep an eye out for is those like handfuls, or like they'll sometimes have them on their belt. It's just a bunch of big zip ties. If those are out, that means that they're potentially going to make a lot of arrests. So if you see those weapons, if you see the zip ties, that may be a sign to you that if you stay, there is an increased risk. And that's something really important to be aware of. And also, how are they communicating with protesters? Are they saying anything? Are they making any demands or giving direction? Again, if they're asking you to do something or not to do something and you do not follow that direction, there is more risk there for you. So again, know your boundaries, do what you can to stay safe. But as you watch these things, you'll be able to get a better idea of what potentially may be coming and how you want to react to that. And so then finally, just some best practices at a protest, very simple things, again, focusing on your safety. Anytime you go out, make sure that you have not only the numbers of emergency contacts, but your emergency contacts also know that you're going out. Make sure people know where you are, who you're with. And a lot of people will like take a Sharpie and write on their arm or on their leg or stomach the phone numbers of important people. I also put down some important phone numbers on the slide here. So the first one is the NLG number. If you're at an action and you see legal observers, that means we also have someone on a phone waiting to be called at this number. This person, if if you were detained or if you have questions, they'll be able to answer and hopefully connect you with some assistance. Right now, we don't have any attorneys who could provide pro bono assistance, but we do have attorneys who work in criminal defense who would be potentially available to work with you. And we could also assist you with finding other appropriate resources. And I also put down the Dauphin County Bail Fund number. I know y'all spoke with them a little bit ago, but this is a number to call or to memorize, to put on your body somehow, to call but if you are detained, if you have bail, and if you're unable to pay. So keep record of your numbers, have people who know who you are, have people who know where you are and who you're with. Also know the area, know places that are safe for you to go to, know exits, and know safe meeting places if something does occur, so that it's planned where everyone will go and you can meet back up and make sure that your people are safe. As always, use the buddy system. Don't go by yourself. There, again, is always risk, and you're much safer if you're with another person. Also, be increasingly aware of technology while you're at actions. It's usually best not to take your phone if you don't need it, honestly. If you do take it, turn it off while you're there. There are a lot of ways that people can track you, can track who you're talking to, what you're talking about while you're in these locations and these riskier events. And please, please, please do not take photos, do not record protesters. I've seen a lot of people Facebook Living events. Please don't do that. A lot of what you post or what you have is public. And then law enforcement, as well as people who don't really agree with what we're doing, are better able to find you. And those people don't always have your best wishes at heart. So while you're there, it's really just best to be off the grid, best in the long run. And finally, always be aware, kind of have your head on a little swivel like a little owl. And just watch for those red flags that we discussed. And hopefully y'all can stay safe. Take care of each other out there. On the final slide, I just had some other contact information for you. The first is our email address. We're always accepting new people who are interested in being legal observers. If you're interested, just email us. Or if you have questions, we're always happy to answer. If you're interested, or if you're organizing an event and you think that you'll should have some legal observers, there's also a form here, which is also on our Facebook page. And complete that form, just give us some basic information about your event, and we can follow up with you and see if it makes sense for us to be there, if we can get you the volunteers. And then, of course, the NLG and the DCBF phone numbers for while you're out. Make record of those, super important. Share them with your friends, and take care.
That's also helpful. Thank you so much, Becca, for sharing all of that with us. So can you talk a little bit about what happens if NLG does observe like misconduct by law enforcement during a protest?
Sure. So I have not been, I don't think our local chapter, at least in a while, has kind of gone through this situation. But my understanding is that we would be subpoenaed. So if law enforcement saw that we were there, they'd be able to contact us, or like their legal team would be able to contact us and ask us to act as witnesses in the court. This is why we record everything on paper. So you'll often see us with those like little dollar store notepads and pens, just writing what we see. At the end of an event, we give that right to like the coordinator of the NLG. And so they will keep them safe. If we are subpoenaed, we have that to reflect on and refresh our memory. And then, if they ask us to attend, we would go to court and explain what we saw. Just as a witness.
Yeah, so really like an outside witness helping to protect the people who are there, who might otherwise, not have anyone but the word of a police officer against what they might be saying.
And that's also why we prefer people not record, because even though what you record definitely happened in some way. There's still a lot of ways to interpret it, especially depending on the angle. And a lot of the time it's hectic and busy and you can't really tell. You don't get the whole picture. That is someone who is standing there with their sole a role as an observer. They're going to have a much better idea of what did happen than if you watch a video.
That's great. Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Did you want to say anything else before we wrap up?
I think that's everything. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and I want to just mention to folks that these links and these phone numbers that are here, we're going to include those with the post when we get this up on our website. So don't worry about writing down, especially that that website. We'll make sure that there's a clickable version for you there. So yeah, thanks again to Becca and to NLG. Our next episode will be in 2 weeks, April 28th at noon. We'll be talking to the Greater Harrisburg Area Tenants United. So hope that you can all join us for that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Rachel.